Welcome. My name is Mark Anthony Dubose Jr. And I was born July 4th, 1986. I want to say thank you for tuning in and trying to figure out some more about your dog. One thing that I know to just getting up and doing stuff, that's the consistency part. It's not so much as even at the same time of doing the same stuff, like every little thing that you do with the leash handle and this, but just doing something. So make it a habit to just get up and take your dog for a walk and just go for a walk. Who cares what's going on right now? But if you just do it day after day after day, you're gonna just watch something happen. Something just happens that I don't know how to explain it, but something happens when you just do it every day. Don't worry about, oh, I got this and I don't have this and I don't have the right leash, I don't have the right collar, I don't have the right harness, I don't have the right, I don't have, no, just get the dog out and just get it for a walk and get it moving, get it taking it places. And if you're at the point where you're like, oh man, Mark, I can't walk my dog, just get your dog out. Get a dog out. Put him in the car, go to a park, have your dog on a leash, and just sit at a bench and just have your dog out in the world. There's something about that just, it gets everything to be much, much better on this planet. So today we're doing what I'm gonna say is a controlled pull. He's not doing all that great at it, but he can't sniff, he can't stop. He's got to just continue to keep on going on mission. So this boy, my shepherd, is pretty good at doing this, so he's teaching the Dalmatian the same thing, because this is my end goal that I'm looking for them to be pulling and for me to be running behind them. But I got to teach it in small stages, and it's much more complicated, I realize, to get a dog to pull for you as opposed to pulling for itself. They can pull all day long if they're trying to go to sniff spots and go try to get things. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. We're good. Keep going. There we go. It's easy when they pull to sniff spots, but for him to pull, like I'm telling him to just go pull for me right now, this adds like a really interesting level of complexity to it that I thought it was going to be, like, be honest, I thought it was going to be easy. But to tell him not to sniff but yet still pull, it's cool stuff. And this is what I believe has gotten me to really understand more about how to get dogs not to pull, is by convincing them to pull and convincing them to pull for me. It's really neat. But something I want to talk about today is the concept of trust in that part of that relationship that we all really need to focus majority of our time on, and trying to get into the dog of understanding who we are, and the dog getting them to get us to understand who they are as well. Not just a one-way streak here. And I think that that's the main problem that we have with dog stuff going on today. And that's the concept that we just look at the dog like we could do whatever we want with it, and the dog doesn't have a say-so in what's going on. And I'm gonna say, you can have a decent dog if you can convince the dog and basically, I guess I can say, is force it into submission to want to do for you. Come on, guys, come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm gonna jog a little bit with you. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. That you could beat the dog into submission to do what you want. And you're gonna have a decent dog that you're having to continuously keep on just pushing harder and harder and harder and harder. You just pretty much never get to that point that it's with you. You're like having to load up on all this stuff to be able to just simply make sure that the dog doesn't run out of the door and take off down the street, as opposed to just opening the door up and just know, hey, my dog it's good to go. I could just say, hey, get away from there, and it just stops. It's something that's where, unfortunately, just what I see from what I'm working with what I do with dogs. This isn't some I know it all and I got it all figured out, but just what I see. I see that majority of dog training goes towards the route of don't care about what the dog needs, just do whatever you want with that dog and force it to do whatever you want. Where I'm gonna say there's a time and a day for that, such as what I'm doing right now. I'm telling this dog to keep on walking. I'm not letting him sniff. I'm not letting him do his dog stuff. He's doing something for me right now. But there's a balance that goes on with this. This is the part where I like that word balance training, but it's used in the incorrect manner, in my opinion. Because balance means there's times that he can run and do what he wants and makes happen what he wants to make happen. And then there's times that he's going to have to do what it is that I'm looking for, and there's no like him time in it. It's me time now that I need you to do something. That's the balance that I come to understand. Not giving a treat and then giving them leash pressure. That's what I believe creates a dog to not trust you, because it's unsure what's going on. But the fact of him being able to trust me is him understanding that I'm going to give him what he needs. And in just my opinion, it starts off with that first. I give to him first. I get dog, I put dog on leash, and I figure out, what does this dog want to do? What does it do? Take it outside. Does it want to sniff trees? Does it want to chase rabbits? What does it want to do? What is it in its desire that it just wants to do right now? And I just figure that out. And I allow them to do that. And I allow them to do it so much so that they're almost kind of like sick of it in the end. They're like, I don't know, man. Like, I thought this is what I wanted, because this is what I'm running into my Dalmatian right now. She's giving me a little bit of protest, but she's shifting her age right now. She's giving a little bit of protest of like, I really like those walks, but now I kind of just want to lay in the grass and just like nap. And I'm like, I hear you. So I basically got all of that out of her. That's why today she doesn't pull like a fool anymore. She used to just go, man, just go. But that's what I've noticed that she liked to do, is pull. So I got her out, I put her on leash, and she was pulling into that collar, and I was like, I don't like that. So that's why I got a harness on her, so she could be more comfortable. She just wanted to pull and walk and pull and walk and pull. She barely looked back at me. She was just on a mission of going. She would just go. So that's all that I've been doing, is satisfying that desire in her of just doing that. And that's where she's going to start to trust me. And this takes time. This isn't some instant. And this is the part where we're confusing things with dog training stuff, because we're thinking we build the dog's trust by giving it treats. That's not going to get the dog to trust you. That's going to get the dog to, in reality, look at you very, very suspicious. Like, what are your true intentions? Because you're not caring about my needs. You're only caring about your needs. So when you're coming at the animal in a way that you're just worried about what you want, that's where we're running into battles with these dogs, where it looks good for a little while, or it looks good in a certain scene. But as far as the everyday, all day stuff, we're struggling. We can't have simple, basic level of communication with the dogs, where we need to like come with more force, or we need to come with more treats. And that's where things, in my opinion, are just weird, because we're not looking at what the dog has inside of it that it needs to be able to just do. Especially if you just got a dog out of the shelter. Dog's been sitting in there for, most of them, say on average, 30 to 60 days before anybody picks him up. So that dog's been sitting in isolation, basically. Yeah, it's got its dog friends, it's barking and screaming and doing what it's doing in there, but it had no chance of, in reality, not all places, but most all places, they have no chance to run. They have no chance to get out. They have no chance to just sit in a tree, sit next to a tree. They had no chance to just look at the sky and look at the birds and just be able to be in, I mean, some of these dogs, they've been in such a loud environment that they've never been in a quiet place before. And when you finally get that dog in a quiet place, you see a completely different dog. But a lot of times we just get these dogs and we're just quick to just throw in a treat, sit, down, without like getting the dog to like do what the dog wants to do. And that's where the foundation thing, I believe, should be with what we focus on dogs at first, is getting dogs on leash and seeing what that dog wants to do. And then once we see what that dog wants to do, we let that dog do what that dog wants to do. And granted, I know someone's going to say, oh, my dog likes to bite dogs. Let's just let him run around and just keep biting everything. And I'm going to say, obviously, no. And more than likely, your dog doesn't want to bite dogs. It's uncomfortable because of the situation that you're putting it in, and it's not quite ready for that yet, because it doesn't quite trust you yet. It doesn't know what's going on. And that's where we mess up a lot with, we could take a half a break. I'll give you a break. That's where we mess up a lot with, when we run into that scenario that we giving the dogs the treats and we think that the dog trusts us because that's what everyone is saying to do to get the dogs to like you. And then you run into that scenario that the dog really doesn't, and then you put it in front of another dog, and that's why the dog has to go absolutely wild. That's why the dog is just going just crazy. All right, come on. I know we're going on a short walk today. I got a big race this weekend. I can't be doing too much right now. And that's why the dog is going absolutely crazy at the other dogs, because it's like, especially if you just got this dog from out of a shelter, the dog is in a situation that, because this right here, this is where she's giving me that protest. Finally, like, she got her runness out of her run. She's just like, we're good, man. I like this. This is why she walks right next to me for the most part when I don't have her pulling with Kahi anymore, because she's gotten to that point that I got it all out of me. I got it all out. I'm good to go. Come on, guys. Come on. There we go. I got it all out. I don't need this anymore. And then now we're in that battle of, what are we going to do next? And this is just very interesting, because if I take this dog, especially this like Dalmatian here with what I got going on, that I would run into battles instantly by not allowing her to just do what she wanted to do. She would just look at me like I'm some evil dictator that is not looking out for the best of her, but just looking out for the best of myself. And that's where, for me, I don't look at dogs as if they're like some sort of idiotic robots or some worthless robots. I believe that they are thinking, processing, because they prove that to me every day. And anybody that says that they doubt that, like, they're able to troubleshoot things. They're able to do incredible things that aren't just a simple, or I could say it as simply like a cow. A cow simply eats grass and it just goes to sleep. It doesn't know how to open a gate up. It doesn't know how to go find its own food in reality. It just knows how to just walk. It doesn't even know how to even jump a fence to go find food for the most part. Most all of them, they're just out there, man. They're just out there. Same with chickens, they're out there. But these dogs are something that is incredible, that we can't just put them in a cage and tell them what to do and think that that's what's going to happen from them. And that's what we're doing. We're putting them in a cage, we're bringing them out, and we're doing, this is what I want, this is how you got to do it, and thinking that the dog is going to want to ever listen to us. And that's why we need more and more and more pressure. So the number one thing to how to get the dog to, just in my opinion, to really trust you, is to get that dog to that point that it's able to do what it has in its desires to do. And that's for us to figure out. And the main thing I'm going to say is, you don't need some fancy anything. You just need a leash on a dog and see what the dog is going to do. And then start to watch the dog go to the tree. Watch the dog go to this. Watch the dog go to that. Watch the dog try to jump up the tree to try to get squirrels. Watch the dog do all this stuff. And that's what's going to, come on guys, come on, come on, come on girl, come on, come on, come on. I know, we got like 4 miles to go still. She looking at me like, I'm tired today. I hear you. But that's the main thing is we got to just see what the dog does. And then once you start seeing what your dog does, that's where your research starts. Your research don't start until you start to figure out what is it that your dog is desiring to do, to figure out how to be able to amplify that even more. So if you got a dog that is just sniffing, 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 that's when you're like, oh, let me look for some sort of sniff and search game that I need to do with my dog. As opposed to your dog is tracking and trailing stuff, it's sitting there on the hunt trying to look for things. Then you look for stuff to try to keep pushing that more and more. You got a dog that just likes to pull and just likes to do that, you get him out there and you just let him do that day after day after day, after day after day after day. And then they'll get to the point that they're just like, oh, okay, well, I got that out. So he allowed me to do that, so where do we go now? And then that's when we start to figure out what we're doing next. And that's the situation I've gotten into with this Dalmatian. She's like, well, you've let me pull now for like literally, well, it's been almost 2.5 months straight. 2.5 months straight. She's like, okay, well, I got that out of me. Now what? And my dogs, I don't know what it is with my body language and who I am, that that the dogs just don't want to pull with me because I'm saying that day one that I don't want you to do that. But that's where things get complicated, because to try to convince them to do it for you and not for themselves, again, is cool. But she's like, okay, well, I got that out. Where are we going now? So now she looks at me like, since you've been able to satisfy my needs, now I could do something for you. And that's where the big shift happens, because that's where the real trust starts to come in, because I'm not coming at her with no games. I'm not coming at her with, I don't want you to this, I don't want that. I'll force you to this, I'll force you to sit, I'll force you to down, I'll force you to this, I'll force you to that. We're not coming at them like that. We're coming at them in a way that we're very clear to understand that your needs matter, your desires matter. And that's where, and in my opinion, is the hardest part of what I'm going to say is trust. Because human to human, it's a very, very challenging thing for you to just drop your needs, your wants, your desires, and just help somebody else out. Just say like, I don't need anything. I don't want nothing from you. You ain't got to buy me nothing. You got to take me nowhere. You ain't even got to tell me I'm good. You ain't even got to say I'm pretty, nothing. Just zero expectations, but just putting yourself out there to do something for somebody else. That is one of the most challenging, but yet at the same time, the easiest things to do. But for whatever reason, things that are simple and easy on this planet are not actually easy at the end of the day. It's easy to our ears to hear. You want to have a great relationship, just trust the other person. How do I trust the other person? Have no expectations and just live and just be and just have fun. It sounds easy, but to actually do that in practice is so challenging, because then you're putting yourself all out there. And you can put yourself out there. This is where it's cool with dogs, because you put yourself out there and they're pretty much just not going to fail you. But human beings, you could put yourself out there for 5 years and they could just fail you one day, instantly. Everything that you've been putting yourself out there for, they could just fail you. And that's the part where you got to make sure that you know, that's why it's not going to be so devastating if what you are doing is true trust, because you're not going to have any expectations. So if you're working and working and that dog is still looking at you like a butthole, you still should be working towards trust, because you should have zero expectations that they're going to do good or they're not going to do good. They're going to get better or they're not going to get better. You should have zero expectations. That zero expectations is the key to having what I'm going to say is a nice dog, and not only just that, but a nice relationship with anything on this planet. Knowing that you are doing everything that you can and not worrying about what you're going to get out of it in the end, that you're just doing what you're doing and you're just willing to help. You're willing to put yourself out there. You're willing to just sacrifice yourself to just be able to make sure that someone else and something else is going to have a better life. And that's where it's cool with dogs, because you do that to them first, and then they give back the rest of their lives to you. Like, what do you want? Where are you going? Okay, we can do that. All right, no problem. They're not so pushy. They're not so wild. They're not so crazy. They're just, all right, let's just go. Like, we could just easily do that now. And they stop giving so much pushback. And then you run into that scenario that you start, I'm going to say, pushing them too hard. It may be because you get a little, that's the best word of saying it, is cocky about, yeah, I'm telling them what to do and they do it. And then we start to try to show off with them. And that's the part where, in my opinion, I don't believe that dogs really appreciate being shown off. You know, you got your friends coming over and you're like, oh, look, my dog can sit. And you tell them to sit. And the dog's looking at you like, all right, well, what is the purpose of this? What is the need of this? And that's when you're putting expectations out there that are just ridiculous at the end of the day. And that's why, for me, a lot of these commands are for show. It's to make your dog look and appear to be something that at the end of the day, it's not. And that's why I believe we're having so much conflict, because we're not trusting them. We're not saying, hey, you're good. We can hang out. We can relax. We can just chill. You know, there's a difference of working a dog for a working dog, and you want that dog to be that way. But then you got the side where I just want to hang out, pet dog, relax, chill, and be with me dog. This is where I say don't mix the two. If you want two, then get two. You want to learn more about different types of dogs, you get more dogs to have different experiences with different type of dogs. But most people are not under that. You don't want that. You want a hanging out dog. So a hangout dog, you want to treat like a hangout dog. You want to give the respect to that hangout dog. You want to trust that hangout dog. You just want to live in this world with that hangout dog, and stop thinking that you're going to have this hangout dog and you want to put a show on for the world to see. The dog is going to start to look at you like, well, what the heck is going on here? I thought you were cool, but now you're trying to demand me to do some things that are very uncomfortable for me. And at the end of the day, I would love any of y'all just record yourself. You ain't got to post it nowhere, but just doing your sits, downs, and heel work and do all that, and watch your dog. Watch your dog and see, are they really liking this, or are they just doing this? And the number one way I'm going to know say to you right away, if your dog is only doing it because there's a treat in your hand, your dog doesn't actually enjoy doing it. It's doing it out of manipulation. And that manipulation is what's driving your dog to what I'm going to say is insanity, to the point that that's why it's going crazy with you, because it feels like it's getting disrespected every single day with doing that stuff. So if your dog is willing to want to work for you, it should work for you. Not because the treat's in your hand, not because of the toys in your hand, but because of you. And that's something that I'm going to pretty much guarantee that majority of dogs don't do that. And that's why we have majority of dogs today that are acting a fool. And we're struggling with them because we're not worried about getting the dog what it needs. And that's the part that, you know, if you just believe that dogs are dumb, stupid, and pointless, and pathetic, and meaningless, and something that I can rule and control and dictate and demean over, you know, you're gonna have a certain level of success with your dogs treating them that way. But I'm gonna almost like slap a guarantee on this, that you're gonna get a dog one day that's gonna challenge that, and you're not gonna be able to do that. Because that's what I can say. I had a wake-up call with this shepherd right here, that he woke me up to understand, like, dude, you can't just tell me no, because I'm gonna do something about that. And you're gonna get that dog that's gonna challenge you. That all my other dogs, I hear this all the time. My old dogs, you know, I never had issues. And then this dog, I don't know what's going on. It's because this dog finally stood up and said, no, you're not doing that to me. And you think about doing that one more time to me, and I'm chewing on you. And that's the situation that a whole lot of people are coming into, because we're thinking that we could just dictate to them and demand to them and force them and make them do all this stuff, and they're gonna just do it just because. And that is not the way that this works with these dogs. And that's why I believe that we're struggling, because that's what dog training represents. Force the dog, control the dog, dictate to the dog, demand to the dog, and don't ask the dog what it needs. And that's where you're gonna keep stumbling, fumbling. And I want to be able to explain to somebody, you want to have a nice dog, find out what your dog needs, and give that to your dog and watch how your dog relaxes and calms down. And then that's where dog is going to finally trust you. It could take a day, it could take a month. And like me and this Dalmatian, it's taking months. We're approaching 2.5 and we're still not quite there yet. It's going to be 3 or 4 months until she just looks at me like, you're a cool dude, man. Like, I appreciate you. And I'm not here to rush it. I'm not here to force anything to her, because I could give, because it's food motivated, driven as this dog is, I could have a treat on me right now and I can make her stay with me and look so pretty. But that's not real. That's not her really understanding me, because I'm still not giving her her ultimate desire of what she has inside. Feeding a dog is just survival. Dogs have more than just eating. And that's, I could say, similar to us as humans. Us eating is just staying alive. But us being able to do something that we have inside of us that we need to do, that's when you start to become alive. And that's like my shepherd here sniffing out stuff, he became alive. This Dalmatian here, being able to just pull and just, man, she just loves to pull. That got her alive. That got her to the point that she's like, man, this is an awesome world. And I really, really, really enjoy being here and doing this with you. That is the part where we should focus majority of our time on. The needs and the desires of the dog. And then the dog, once it gets enough of that, it's going to start to look at you and say, hey, okay, I see you, man. I see you, girl. Like, I appreciate you. I appreciate being able to, you being able to do this for me. Now, what is it that you want? And that's, man, I'm telling you, that's a beautiful relationship to be in. And that's not only just with dogs, but this is also with human beings. You give first. You put yourself out there first. You do everything you can first, and then you'll wait to see what happens in the end. And with dogs, they're cool, because majority of the time, almost 100% of the time, the dog is, man, you just gonna jump down there? Hold on, guys. Let me unclip you. Hold on, Kahi. Hold on. We got a malfunction going on right now. There we go. he said, man, I'm hot right now, buddy. He about to let me get that water. you wanna meet their needs, and then you will get yours in return. And the dogs are cool because they pretty much are 100% gonna want to give back to you, as opposed to humans. We don't know. It's a gamble. And that's why I believe that dogs are absolutely incredible animals, because they just are they're so caring and they're so compassionate, and they teach you so much about all of that. And that's what we should primarily be focusing most of our time on, is get my dog's needs met. Figure out what my dog wants. Figure out what my dog desires. And then I can go ahead and start working upon what it is that I want that dog to do now. Because that's what I can say with every single one of my dogs that I focus all my time on. What do you want? All right, you did it. Now you did something for me. So it's like with this shepherd here now. He's gotten to that point that I let him sniff, I let him do what he do. And then now I'm like, now I want you to, for one, help me work other dogs. So he's helping work her. And then 2, I want you to be able to pull, because I want to be able to do some decent runs with you. I want to go for runs. And he's like, okay, well, I can do that. As long as you let me do my sniffing stuff here and there, I can do that for you. And now we're having a true, what I'm going to say is balanced training, is balancing back and forth. He does some for me, I do some for him. And we have such a great, amazing, easy, chill, relaxed life together. And that's something that I would want more people to just be able to have. Thank you. And once again, it's Kahi and Ophi. Ophi's a little tired today. She's acting like she's tired, but it is kind of warm out here. I can't say that it's not. But these guys are just really coming along, being really, really nice dogs. The main thing is I got away from excessive amount of pressure and got away from excessive amount of treats and got into just hanging out, relaxing, and just going places. We just go places. And at the end of the day, they look like this with anything around. Anywhere I take them, any location, because we keep going to all kinds of different places.